Hello everyone, my name is Clarissa Moon. I'm a family community health agent in Panola County, and this is a video on oral reasons for the Consumer Decision Making Contest. I've been judging the oral reasons at our district CDM contest for 2 or 3 years now, and I wanted to do a video to kind of help educate families on what oral reasons are and some things that you need to include in your presentation, kind of what I expect as a judge. And this is just kind of a roadmap for what I'm going to talk about today. I'll do an introduction about oral reasons, talk about the format, the rules, how it works, include some key terms that you need to include in your presentation, go over the scoring a little bit, and lastly, give you some resources for further study on your own. So, oral reasons are basically a quick 2-minute presentation in front of a judge explaining why you placed a class the way that you did. You can kind of explain some of the things that were in the scenario and justify why you placed the class the way that you did. So you will want to include things from the scenario and say, what the person in the scenario was looking for, their wants, their needs, their budget. So the format and the rules, it works a little bit differently at every contest. So be sure and look at the rules for the contest that you're preparing for. Some contests will give you extra preparation time if you have a set of oral reasons. For example, at our Come Alive in D5 contest, this year you get 2 extra minutes to prepare each set of reasons. That's not always the case at every contest. Sometimes you just get that 7 minutes or whatever to place the class and write your reasons. So, again, this year at Come Alive in D5, you get 2 extra minutes to prepare each set of reasons. And then as far as when you present the oral reasons, again, 2 minutes is just kind of a rule of thumb. It's not necessarily a hard and fast rule. But again, every contest is different, so it's something to be aware of. And lastly, notes. Some contests will say that you can't use notes whatsoever, and some contests are a little more laid back. Just me personally, I'm a little more laid back as a judge, and I don't care if you use note cards just as a reference. If you do read from your note cards and you don't make eye contact with me, then I will count off for that. It's just like with any other oral presentation. Note cards are to be used sparingly. And you shouldn't have to rely on them or read verbatim from your note cards. But again, be aware of the contest that you're preparing for, because sometimes note cards are not allowed at all. All right, so here are some key terms that you need to include in your oral reasons. These are things that we like for you to include. They make your reasons seem a lot more polished and professional. First off, you should always give a quick introduction. This could be just saying, "Are the judges ready?" That signals the judge that you're getting ready to start, and again, gives them a chance to say yes or no, I'm ready or I'm not. Sometimes you could introduce yourself, say your name and your county, but that's not necessary, and actually some people don't like it when you do that. I personally don't really have a preference. Then you should also say how you place the class, because again, that provides us a nice roadmap so we know logically what you should be talking about next. So your introduction, always include those 2 things. Are the judges ready? And I placed this class of nutritious snacks 1, 2, 3, 4, or again, however you placed it. Next, you should talk about your class in terms of pairs. Every class will always have 3 pairs. You'll have a top pair, a middle pair, and a bottom pair. So in our example, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So your top pair is 1 over 2, your middle pair is 2 over 3, and your bottom pair is 3 over 4. And you can use things like an easy top pair, meaning 1 is by far the best option and it outweighs 2 easily. Or if it's a close pair or tough to decide which one is better, then you could say it's a close pair or a tough pair. So you could say, this class of nutritious snacks had a real easy top pair and a close middle pair and a close bottom pair, or something like that. Grants and criticisms are also something you need to include. So a grant would be something positive about a product that you placed lower. So in our example, 1 was first and 2 was second. But if you're using a grant, you want to say something positive about product number 2. So I grant that 2 does have more vitamin C than 1. Then you also have a criticism. So that's, just a negative thing why you didn't like that product. 2 is higher in sugar, so I left it in second, is an example. So if you kind of put those things together, you would say, I grant that 2 does have more vitamin C than 1. However, 2 is higher in sugar, so I left it in second. Transitions and phrases. Again, this is a presentation, and so we like it to run kind of smoothly, and we like for you to give us a roadmap of where you're going to go next. So using things like next, finally, or in conclusion, make your presentation seem more polished and kind of give us a signal as the judge of what to expect. You can also use phrases like best or worst. So you can say things like, it's the least eye-appealing product in the class, it's the most affordable option in the class, things like that. Lastly, you should include a concluding statement, and it can be really brief. Therefore, I place this class of nutritious snacks 1, 2, 3, 4. This, again, is a signal to the judge to let them know that you're done, and also just kind of wraps up your presentation nicely. Scorecard. So a lot of times there's not actually a scorecard that's provided to the judges or the contestants. It does vary by contest, however. So I just did a quick online search. So these 4 categories are some common themes among different scorecards that we're looking for. And then this is a screenshot of one particular scorecard that I found. And all of these different categories may be weighted differently. Again, it depends on the contest and on the judge and what that particular judge might emphasize. So first off, we have knowledge. We want you to be descriptive about the products in the class. And for example, in nutritious snacks, talk about how vitamin C is a desirable quality and about how high in added sugars would not be a desirable quality in a product. So using some of those things that kind of let us know what you're talking about. Second, using appropriate terms. So are you using those key terms, like talking about each pair? Are you providing a grant and a criticism? And are you saying things correctly? A lot of times I've heard some kids just completely get mixed up about the products in the class, and they may say something that's not accurate about a product. Next is a presentation. Again, this is an oral presentation, and so you need to be somewhat poised, understandable. We need to be able to hear you. You need to make eye contact with us. Don't just stare at the floor or stare at your note cards. We want you to have eye contact with us. We want to understand what you're saying. So you need to have a clear tone of voice. And then lastly, Do you have a flow to your presentation? You know, did you give an intro, talk about all the pairs, and then give a conclusion? Or did you kind of jump around? That's kind of the last thing that we look for. And again, you've heard me talk about a roadmap. A final piece to the puzzle, if you will, is did your presentation have a nice flow to it? Did you let me know when you were starting and ending? Those kind of things. So, for me, since I'm a judge, I like to actually have kind of a checklist with me. And since oral reasons move really fast, again, no more than 2 minutes, it's easy to kind of forget things as a judge. And so this is something that I developed for myself and that I use when I'm judging oral reasons. So I use this as a checklist. Did you include an intro? Yes or no? And I'll check it off. And then I'll do that for the top pair, the middle pair, the bottom pair. Did you use a grant and or a criticism? And then lastly, did you have a conclusion? So that's something that I actually listen for in your presentation, and I'll mark it on my score sheet. So that helps me keep track when I'm scoring each individual. All right, so here are some resources for further study. Texas 4-H, this falls under Family and Community Health and the Consumer Education Project. So then you scroll down to Consumer Decision Making, and they have an Oral Reasons Guide. And this is what it looks like. It's 6 pages long, but it has really good information about some of those key terms you need to include, has kind of an outline or a roadmap of what you need to talk about. It also has another suggested scorecard, or they call it a checklist of, you know, things to keep in mind as you're presenting. Milam County, the agent there has done a lot of work with consumer decision making, and she has a reasons guide on their website as well. So this is just a 1.5 page guideline about how to give oral reasons. This video is one of my favorite things. This is from Texas 4-H, and you can find it on YouTube. It's just called Oral Reasons. But this is really helpful for any kind of oral reasons that you're having to give. You know, he goes through this class of ball caps, and he talks about how he ranked the class. He talks about grants and criticisms and all of those things. So this is a really, really good resource to use as well. Last but not least, always remember to look at your contest rules. It's really important to know how much time you have, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So again, can't emphasize that enough, how important it is to know the rules. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you found this helpful. And here's my contact information. If you have any more questions, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.